Welcome back to Balanced Health. A diet plan that is specifically designed for you is more likely to work than one's designed for the masses. This concept is the foundation of metabolic typing. And joining us again is Amy Andrews, a holistic life coach, to explain how to achieve optimal health through finding what works for your body type. And we're specifically going to be talking now about weight loss and how this can be totally integrated into a weight loss plan.
Well, we had talked in the earlier segment, we kind of defined what metabolic typing was, why one person tolerates carbohydrates while another person doesn't. And I'm guessing that our viewers are sitting out there saying now, okay, so how does that result in weight management?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So carbohydrate type, because many physicians or whatever would tell people, keep low on red meat for everybody to control your weight, to control your cholesterol. But if you're a carbohydrate type, that's not necessarily true, right? So
right.
How does, say for a carb type, how does following the carb plan for them, how does that result in weight management for them? You talked about feeling better, and that's great.
Right.
How does it result in weight management?
Well, when you do feel great and you have energy between your meals, it's because you're fueling your own metabolism. Now, what do we want to do? We want to wake up our metabolism. We want to put on lean tissue so we can exercise. We want to feel good enough to exercise. And we want to let the fat cells clear themselves out. So each of the metabolic types has a way to watch what they're doing without counting calories per se, but to eat the proportion that we recommend, and then if you're still hungry, eat a little more of each of the foods, and then stop when you're satiated, but not full.
And we have a problem figuring out the difference, don't we? If we're not careful, we get into the habit of stuffing ourselves.
We do, and this doesn't mean you have to be, a monk and live at home and never go out. It means when the plate comes at the restaurant, pay attention to what's on the plate. Order what you need on the plate, and then eat in the proportion that's right for you. And when you do that, and you stop when you're satiated, and you have good energy, what happens is you can fuel your life. Now, we also recommend that you eat 3 meals and 2 snacks. So we want you to have a little bit of food with you. And that might mean, a half an apple with a little peanut butter on it, or, a
one of my favorite
drink.
Snacks, apple with peanut butter.
Right. Or some nuts, some crispy nuts, or, a little bit of fruit salad, so that you can stop the blood sugar rises and falls. So I think what most people don't know is that they are subject to these blood sugar swings that really sap their energy. And then, of course, if you have an insulin response because you eat too much carbohydrate, the body just wants to preserve fat. Another thing we're not aware of is that we want to hoard fat when we starve ourselves. So if you limit your calories and you diet, per se, chances are really good that your body's going to get very efficient at storing fat, which is not the thing you want. What you want is to fuel your system so you can do more and then burn the fat you have.
Okay, so a carb type, their diet is a higher percentage of carbohydrates.
Right.
In that person, they're going to oxidize those nutrients slowly, which is going to give them enough fuel between meals to feel good and to burn calories. So that becomes a feel-good tool as well as a weight management tool.
Exactly.
Let's jump over to the protein
type. The carb type, we do want you to have a little bit of protein every time you eat.
A higher percentage, a higher ratio of carbs.
Right.
Let's jump over to the protein type. I know that, and we can talk about this more in another show, but just to touch on it quickly, geography can have something to do with types. I know in our colder climates where there's less sun, we'll have more protein types. The Midwest and Northeast, closer to the equator, there's more sun. People tolerate carbs better. So, but around here, and most of the people we metabolically type at Kylea, a highest percentage comes out to be protein type. So let's address that. Because you talked about something earlier. You said some things that would normally be bad buzzwords. Skin on the chicken, I thought that was a no-no.
I can't stand it. I've gotten so used to not having it.
Right, red meat, I thought that was a no-no. Cheese, I thought that was a no-no. Why are these not no-nos for protein types?
Well, because we're paying attention to quality. We are trying to get grass-fed beef. We're trying to get humanely raised animal proteins. A dark meat chicken leg with fat and skin on it is perfectly fine for a meat eater from up north. So if you're from the Nordic region, if you're Irish in descent, if you live up north, the fat helps fuel you, and it's high quality fat. There's a lot of omega-3 fat in grass-fed beef. There's also excellent fat in organic dairy if you get high-fat dairy, especially raw dairy. So the avocado, free-range organic egg, a crispy nut, which is I have pecans on that plate, which is soaked, it's organic and soaked, and then dehydrated with some sea salt on it so that you can absorb the good quality fat in it. So why is that good for you? Well, because it makes your food last longer, and so that you can have those carbohydrates, a little bit of squash, a half an apple, and
if you're a protein type.
And make it till lunch, right, or make it till dinner.
The whole geographic thing would bring up the question then, you're not necessarily the same type all your life. You could change.
Well, you could change. Most people, when they first get typed in my office, I find that they are way out of balance. And then once they pay attention to what they're doing, they find their true metabolic type. Many are protein or mixed types. So they get to see how do they feel their best. Now, biochemical individuality really comes from regions. So my ancestry comes from Ireland, and then they went to Iowa, and they were farmers. And so they moved a lot, and they had access to foods up north. And so that's what my family brought to me. People who live by the equator don't need as much protein. They eat more carbohydrates. People who are
California
Eskimos,
salads, yeah.
Right, Eskimos, Nordic people eat a lot of cold water fish and high-fat dairy. And why do they do well on that? Well, their ancestry did well on it, and that's what was available.
Let me ask you a question as it relates to the fat then, for a protein type. Are you saying that because fat oxidizes nicely in a protein type and is used efficiently, if that protein type is having a carb snack, would it actually be beneficial for that protein type to add a little fat to that carb snack to slow down? Or is it for a carb type we don't want to do that? Is that accurate?
It would be good. It would be good to add a little bit of this high-fat raw cheese or a couple of nuts or some grass-fed butter or some avocado, a little bit of olive oil, a nut butter. Those are all fine.
That's interesting, very interesting.
And so they could have celery with an organic nut butter, and the carb type would do well with a little snack with a little bit of protein and then some fruit. Because even though the fruit's going to last them a long time, it still is helpful, since you make your cells from the protein you eat today.
Everybody needs protein.
To rebuild yourself from a high-quality protein.
Well, Amy, thank you. We're going to have you on again. I know our viewers are thinking, well, I want to know more. So I'd like to thank Amy, who is a holistic life coach, for joining us today. Now, if you would like more information on metabolic typing, visit us at www.tln.com, click on shows, and then click on Balanced Health. If you would like a copy of today's show, call 888-242-9393. We're going to be right back with your healthy habit of the day. Don't go away.
Jamie, it was good.